Okay. I want to point out this is my first ever guide video, so don't bully me if I miss some things, right? With that being said, yo, Loki, that intro was kind of tough. So before we actually get into the game itself, let's talk about how you should think about when you're playing the game, right? And the first thing that you really want to think about is simply put the server. And I know that might be like, what is this guy talking about? But every server gets an update different. I mean, at a different time. I'm pretty sure Chinese servers gets the updates like 12 hours or a couple, like a good amount of time before American servers. And I'm saying this because, bro, I selected American server thinking that it's not going to have any effect on the game since it was a global launch. And it does. It does. I'm very picky. I am eager and I want the character now. And it sucks that I can't get the character now. And I have to wait like 12 fucking hours as I watch everybody else play the game. So I just want to say that before we get into anything. Now we'll get into the actual videos. I mean, to the actual tips and tricks when you're playing the game. Alright, so I guess it's now time for the Human Celery 4600 to share my knowledge on the game. And we'll start by a simple question before we get into in-game stuff, right? And that's simply put, what is your goal when you're playing the game, right? And I know this might sound very weird, but trust me, it helps out a lot in the in the end, right? And what do I mean by what is your goals? For instance, do you plan on summoning on just super hot characters that that's very appealing to you, or do you plan on being like a meta slave, or do you plan on just playing the game as a casual? And the reason why this is very important is simply because it gives you a vision and a goal, and it's something to keep in mind when you're playing the game. And that's really important because, for instance, when 2.3 drip marketing finally came out, I am a meta slave. I'm seeing what's beneficial for my account and what I need and what I don't need, right? Currently, I don't need anything, so I'm chilling. I don't need to summon on it. But let's say if you're summoning because you just like hot characters, you might find the characters very attractive. That's when you need to be like, okay, let me first count out my jades, see what I can actually afford if I'm a free to play, and then we can make a final decision, right? That's why like this is where it comes into effect. And if you're a Chad and you're just a casual player, then bro, you're chilling. I want to be your friend, please. All right. But yeah, it just helps out a lot with like summoning. In my opinion, many people could think I'm wrong for that, but to me it does. To me, it, like for me at least, it makes a difference, right? Than just aimlessly with no thought process just getting in a character. Because there's people that actually do that, surprisingly, right? I'm not trying to diss on anyone. I'm just saying that I want to say this before we get into the video. As we're talking about stuff. Oh my god, my brain, right? And on top of all of that, I heavily advise you guys to follow any form of star rail on social media, whether that being Twitch, not Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. And the reason is simply because those accounts keep the shit updated. You can maybe follow my main channel, Human Celery, right? But I'm just saying it keeps things updated, right? And the reason why that's really important is simply because in this game there's a certain amount of times at the end of every patch we have some form of double mat drop, right? And it's really important to know when. If you're a free-to-play player, missing out on a singular day of double mats being dropped is very, very depressing. And that happens to me too much. And I've been playing this game since day one. So it's very sad. It's very sad, right? And yeah, let's get into the tips for the newer players, like actual, in-game tips. So now let's talk about the game itself and what is what, right? Right here we have your Trailblaze power, which is we're gonna call it energy, right? I feel like energy is a universal term because I know there's a lot of Genshin refugees, and I'm pretty sure it's called resin. But for here, it's Trailblaze power. But for the video, we're gonna call it energy, right? And essentially, you need this to literally, my God, why did I say that? You need this to do anything and everything in this game. As you can see here, right? We're going down, boom, you need it. 30, 40, 30, 10, 10. This is expensive. 40, right? You need it for everything, and it's very important to keep an eye on this and understand what you're gonna do in the game. This goes into what I was saying of having a goal. If you have a goal, then your mindset is, I need to do this now, and I'm gonna waste all my Trailblaze power on that character or on set character, right? This is basically your backup Trailblaze, right? As you can see here, this maxes out at 240. Don't feel pressure to use it. Once it gets maxed out, it transfers to here, reserved TP. And what this does is, as you see here, goes into a maximum of 2,400 points. That is a lot. And you could also withdraw it and add it to here, as you can see, right? And look at that, boom, too easy. Now, as you can see here, every 13 minutes I get one. I don't know why it says 18 minutes here, because it says 13 minutes, but whatever, right? This is very important and crucial, right? Because you have time. You have time to make up your mind and make a decision on what you want to do in the game, right? Don't feel forced. And this right here is the Nameless Honor. It's basically a battle pass. It's pretty cheap, $10, and I personally say for $10, it's worth your money. This right here is fuel. Don't feel forced to use your fuel. Be very open-minded when you're wasting this, because you get a lot of fuel when you're playing the story and beginning the game. A lot of fuel. Right now, I get like getting fuel is like a blessing, and as you can see here, it provides 60 TP. Use it wisely, right? Now we're gonna go into the warps, aka the summoning. This is gonna be pretty self-explanatory, but I feel like I should include this in the video because it feels right. Because some people actually might not know, and that's perfectly fine if you don't. You know, since we're in a much later date of the game, there's no longer a singular banner character. There's two, and it's always gonna be like this. I promise. The first character that you see is the newest character, the newest 5-star, right? Just remember, this character will be returning in, let's say, 6 months to 8 months, right? Which is completely fine. So if you don't get them, just know you have that time, right? And then following that would be the rerun character, which for today and for this patch, it is Jinglu, right? Then following that is the light cone. Again, the first light cone that you'll see is from the banner, right? The newest light cone. And basically what a light cone does is it just gives, it's like, it gives a buff to the character that you equip it on, and every character has a signature light cone, meaning that light cone is meant for them, but it could be used in any other character in their path. We're gonna get to that later, right? And again, following that up would be the rerun signature light cone. And then in the very bottom, the standard warp, aka the standard summoning. Here's a good tip: never waste a singular jade on this banner. Don't. Simply waste the standard warps that you get, right? Trust me, please do not waste a singular jade on the standard banner, no matter what. In this standard banner, every character is guaranteed to get one of these characters from their choosing, right? And out of all of these characters, right, I personally recommend Bronya. Alright, Bronya is a harmony character. You don't know what that means yet, but we'll get into it, right? So let's start talking about the character's class. Every character has a set path and combat type. I call these classes, right? So it's pretty self-explanatory. As you see here, my character called Acheron has a Nihility path, which basically just applies debuffs. As you see here, destruction, damage. The hunt, single target damage. Erudition attacks everyone on the field. Harmony buffs. Preservation is more of a shield, right? Abundance heals. Pretty self-explanatory, right? And every single light cone has a set path, meaning you can't use it with other paths. If this character is a Nihility character, you could only use Nihility light cones with them. As you can see, it's just the effect can't be active. You could switch it, but all this that it won't transfer, right? And I do want to say that because I actually got confused when playing this game. I was just like mindlessly just doing shit. So yeah, we're gonna get into this character HUD and what everything here means in a bit. First tip of the day, other than outside stuff, inside stuff now. Story progression is key, right? I know that's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm saying this because I have regrets not clearing the story as fast as I can. Not clearing the story is literally crippling your account from progressing, because a lot of the things that you do and gain is from doing the story. You get a lot of free characters, a lot of free stuff, and a lot of jades. I'm talking about me currently. I get roughly 8k jades every month, right? Story is that times like 1,000. Okay, so a lot of jades. Trust me when I say story is key, right? It helps you have more freedom and things to do, right? It allows you to do things like Echoes of War, Forgotten Hall, simulated universe, right? The what's it called again? The Cadlix, Golden and Crimson, right? The Stagnant Shadow allows you to do Cavern of Corrosion. I love these names. These names are so funny, but they're also a tongue twister for me. I hate it, right? But you can't be doing any of this if you don't have the story complete, and you can't get maximum amount of rewards from it if you haven't done the story that's required, right? Super important for anyone. All right, now then, let's get into this. I mentioned this, but I never talked about it, right? This right here is obviously the character's HUD, but what does traces mean? What are relics or eidolons? Information is actually cute in my opinion, right? It says everything here, right? So let's get into it. Let me explain what things are, and I'll give everyone a better understanding, right? So we have here the character, their path, their type, their path, the level, stats, abilities, and more stats, and the light cone. More stats is very informative and helps you guys a lot, right? Right here we have crit rate, crit damage, break effect, outgoing healing boost, energy regeneration rate, effect hit rate, and effect res. For you beginners, this isn't gonna be much. It's not, don't worry about it too much, right? But once you get going, it helps out knowing what each does, right? Obviously, you have your main stats: HP, attack, defense, speed, crit rate, and crit damage. If you don't know what speed is, it basically determines how fast your character goes, right? I already spoken about the light cone, so let's go into break effect. Break effect is pretty easy to explain. Every character has a break bar. Break effect, the more break effect you has, means the faster and how much of that bar you break, right? Pretty, not self-explanatory, but that's the gimmick of it. High break effect means your character could break more of the toughness bar quicker, and that's kind of what you want to do, but don't aim for a break effect, okay? Trust me. Outgoing healing boost is pretty self-explanatory. If this is 100%, that means your character heals 100 times better, right? More. Yeah, that's the best way to like say it, right? It just boosts the amount of healing that set character does. For instance, we have my Ho-Ho right here, who should have, outgoing healing boost, 46.5%. She heals a lot more. right? Now then, we have energy regeneration rate, or ERR. What this means is how much energy your character is getting back. I know that's like, wait, what? But I mean, how fast it charges. And the types of ways to charge your energy would be by getting hit or by using an attack or skill, right? Basic attack or skill. And the amount of regeneration boost determines how much you get back. For characters like my Branya right here, hers is 129.4, meaning that she gets her energy back fast, really fast, and that's good for her because she wants to ult a lot more, or you want to consistently have her ult, right? Affect hit rate, a very funky stat, but these are stats that are more for Nihility characters who apply debuffs. Every boss or mob in the game has some form of effect res, meaning that they could negate the debuff if that effect res is high. My cat's meowing in the background, please forgive him, he's only one, right? So the more effect hit rate your character has, the more chance of them applying the higher chance of them applying a debuff is, right? Which you're not really going to focus on this role too much unless you're a very specific type of character, right? But for the majority of the game, like by majority I mean every single character in the game, this stat is useless. Effect res goes into right what I said with effect hit rate, right? The more effect res you have, the least you are to get CC'd, aka crowd controlled. There's or just debuffed overall. For instance, Acheron has like no effect res. She can get pretty much any form of debuff applied to her. We have a character like my Fu Shuang who has 42.8 effect res, meaning it takes a lot more to debuff her than anyone else, in the sense that the chances of her being debuffed is a lot lower, which is good, right? So with that being said, let's get to the traces. All right, this basically enhances your character's performance, right? My Acheron is a DPS character, so her traces / abilities, every ability is a trace. I want to make that clear before I go into this, because I'm basically explaining the abilities, right? It's an ability enhancer, right? As you can see, I have every trace here leveled up, right? We have crit damage, attack, lightning damage, and just the normal stuff, right? You want your traces to be maxed out, because if they're not maxed out, you're crippling your character from performing to their best capabilities, right? God, I'm stuttering so much, it's so embarrassing. Please forgive me, God, right? But traces are important. Some traces are not important, and typically when you're watching a guide, what every single guide maker will say is the basic attack is useless. As you see here, my basic attack is level 6. My Ho-Ho is level 1, because it's just not important, right? As you see here, level 4, level 5, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 3. You get the gist, right? You're most likely never going to want to enhance your basic attack, right? As the current game stands, right? You just don't. There's no real reason to. Then you have your skill, which is where's the majority of the skill point will be going towards, right? And again, you want this to be leveled up. Then you have your bonus abilities that buffs the characters. You have another bonus ability. You have the talent, which is basically the character's passive, right? You want this the majority of the times to be the first thing that you prioritize when you're leveling up a character. And then the ultimate, right? Again, when you're watching a guide, the guide makers typically tell you to level up talent first, skill, ultimate, right? Very dependent on the character. For most DPS characters, it works like that, right? Now then, with all that being said, let's get to the relics, right? Relic farming is something that you guys shouldn't be worrying about. So because of that, unfortunately, we're not going to dive in too much with the relics, right? Like, I'm not going to explain. Actually, no. Yeah, let's explain them and why knowing which relic is best for your character is important. A relic is an equipment, right? It buffs the character's overall stats. Let's go over here. Every character has the same amount of stats flat out. The moment you get a character, their stats look like this, pretty much. 5% crit rate, 50% crit damage, and the speed varies, right? You can, yeah, it's just that. But if I apply a relic to this character, as you see here, they have a tad bit more HP. This is a HP relic with more defense, attack, and crit damage. So as you see here, the crit damage went up by 5.8%. The defense went up, the speed went up, the HP went up. All right, that's the genuine gist when it comes to relics, right? They just buff up your main stats and substats. I, for one, wouldn't worry about them too much, or by too much I mean at all, when you're a newer player, until you can farm 5-star relics. As you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could count, right? And that's because relic RNG is hell. I've been playing this game since launch, and look at my box. Look at all the max out relics I have. Not a lot, right? And that's because relic RNG is really bad. Like it's super ass, and I'm really picky with what I want on my characters, so I nitpick and which relic to give, and that's good. Being picky isn't bad, right? And as you see here, here are all the 4-star and even a 3-star relic that I have. That they're just there. Mind you, the game gives you free 5-star relics and 4-star relics when you're just playing the game. Keep that in mind. Just play the game. Trust me, this game is very free to play friendly. It just gives you stuff for free. Like, why not, right? But yeah, until you can farm golden relics or 5 stars, I highly suggest do not farm for relics, because you're just going to be trying to get the best stat, and then why get the best stat on a 4-star to 3-star relic piece when you could get that on a 5-star. And as you see here, every relic has a set effect, right? This is called a orb piece, right? A sphere, if you may, and then a rope. This is a 2-piece relic set. This one is called Sigonia, and this just gives me more crit rate and more crit damage. This is a 4-piece set. So as you see here, there's 2-piece and 4-piece. We're gonna go back to our Misha. As you see here, there's no relic effect. To activate one, you need 2 of the same relics. As you see here, here's 2. Now this activates the 2-piece set, right? Or buff, passive, whatever you want to call it, which increases the break effect by 60%. So if we go over here, our break effect is buffed. Wait, right here, yeah, by 16.0%, as is said in the relic passive buff. Now then, if we were to apply something like this, that's 1. I don't think I have a speed boot. I do right here. That's 2. This increases our break effect by 16%. So now we have two pieces. And now our break effect is at 48.8. Pretty easy. If I were to have a full 4-piece set, as we see right here, here's 1. I mean, this is the third one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, my cat, he's on me. Sorry. As we see here, here's a 4-piece set. Now we have this effect that when the wearer uses their ultimate on an ally, all allies' break effect increases by 30% for 2 turns, right? This effect cannot be stacked. When you're equipping someone with a relic, if it's not a rainbow build, and a rainbow build basically means you're equipping the relics for the stats, not the effects, right? If it's not a rainbow build, when you're equipping a relic with stat effects, right, with set effects, you're gonna want to make sure that you know where you're equipping it. I mean, you're gonna want to make sure that the character benefits, right, from that relic. And the good thing about Honkai Star Rail is that we actually have something that literally tells you with numbers, hey, this is exactly what you want to do. You could, most people use this, a 4-piece set, right? A 4-piece Hunter of the Frost, right? Whatever, right? Set, aka the ice piece set. And then there's this 8% people use a 2-piece, and a 2-piece. Then 60% people use a 4-piece attack set, wind set, right? This is very useful for newer players to understand who wants what. As you see here, my Acheron, a lot of people, 90% of the population user with the Pioneer set. And then this also works for orbs, as you see here. Okay, listen, 1.2% of people use it with Sigonia. I'm not 1.2. I'm cool like that, right? But as you see here, 77.4% of people use it with the 2-piece set, right? This is her traditional set, right? I don't like Inzom, so I don't use it, right? But with all that being said, right, that's how a character works. That's the inside of a character. And yeah, just make sure when you're starting, that's what you focus on. Everything but relic farming, right? Because that's not important, right? Just make sure you have a character and a team build. Now then, let's get into team builds, right? Well, the team, and then we'll get into a team build. This is what your day one team, like 2 hours playing team, would most likely look like. As you see here, we have a DPS, a support, and a sustainer. Now then, the game doesn't give you much much in the first 2 hours of playing, so you're most likely gonna have March 7th and Natasha, who are 2 sustainers, right? And that's basically how you're gonna want to build every single team, right? You're gonna want to see how these characters buff each other and how good they are, right? It gets a lot more complicated when you're, when you have more characters like my account, right? But I don't even have everything, right? I just pull because I'm a meta slave. I'm a loser. I'm not free. But after a while, you might have characters like Pella, Herda, Yukon, and a Fire MC, right? And that's pretty much what you want to do, right? Just focus on one team from the jump, upgrade the crap out of that team until you can't, and then eventually you can start experimenting, upgrade the traces, and etc. One thing that I do want to say is no matter what type of harmony character you get, upgrade them. All right? When I say harmony characters don't die out, they just don't. My voice is getting raspy. We have a character here, Asta. She is still really good, regardless of what anyone says, right? Regardless of what the tier list says, she's good. Now, while being compared to other characters in her category and class, she's not as good, but trust me, she has her times where she shines, right? Every single form of support character you would want to upgrade. For instance, here, I regret that I haven't upgraded my Yukon, and I'm actively working on that because she's good, really good. Pella, a support character, really good, right? I'm going to name you. I'm going to equip characters that you should have maxed out, and you should never stop upgrading. So there's the voice lines are so cute. So as we have bye bye. So as we bye bye. I'm sorry. As we have here, these are 4-star characters that you should always have built. As you can see, mine are all max level. Besides my Herda, you can have her at level 70 to 80. But trust me, Herda will get you through the entire story mode. She's good. Even for end game content currently, she's really good, right? Teen Young is an amazing harmony. You need to build her. And another one that I wanted to put, but I couldn't, is Shrink Shui, aka QQ. Out of all those 5 characters, trust me when I say you can get all of them for free, right? There's a 4-star selector, 2 of them in fact, and one of them it allows you to select any 4-star in the game. So trust me when I say you could get any of these characters, any and every, right? You don't have to pull if that's not the aim of the game, right? And I feel like the ones that I just listed you should build them regardless of the situation. Now then, if I were to have a top three, my top three would be Teen Young, Pella, and Asta. Their kits are super good, super versatile, right? And I don't want to explain too much on their kits. I think I'll leave that for a separate video because I don't want this video to be too long, right? But that's just something that I do want to say and that everyone should know, right? Again, remember, support characters take a lot longer to die out in the meta than DPS characters, right? Alright, let's get to the end game stuff, right? And fun fact about it, don't worry about Forgotten Hall. Don't worry about Pure Fiction, and don't worry about all of SU, aka Simulated Universe, right? Just don't play the game. There's no rush. Take your time, because the hard truth is that MOC, you need 2 teams, right? And that takes a lot of investment and time. So just don't worry about any form of end game. Trust me when I say just don't. It's not worth it, right? It's just not. One thing that I should have said in the beginning, actually, that I'm going to say right now, is you could actually buy mats in the shop for free, as you see here, right here. You could buy mats. One thing that I personally do recommend is to buy out the golden Star Wars Special Pass first before anything. These are what you would want to use on the banner characters, right? Buy these first before you buy anything else. Be very, very smart. And I think that's really all I wanted to go over. Take your time. Everything comes natural when you're playing the game. I could have gone over things like all of SU, but I'm not. Because again, everything comes. Trust me when I say Honkai Star Rail is a beautiful game. Oh my, she's interrupting me. Okay, Honkai Star Rail is a beautiful game and beautiful characters. Fuck. Every single character in this game is well thought out and well designed. And I feel like you rushing is something that you guys shouldn't be doing. You guys should be taking your time, enjoying the game.